Here in front of me, I have the Electrician's 8-piece code blue setup. It's an awesome setup. I'm gonna go through each tool individually, talk about what I like, tell you guys what I don't like, and then from there too, we'll go over the details of the actual line itself, look at some options, and also at the end, show you guys some of my other favorite secret Channellock tools that they really don't get talked about nearly enough, but I absolutely love them, and it's the only thing that this kit is missing. Let's hop into it. All right, now this is the tool roll itself, you guys. I'm not a big tool roll guy. I don't think that it fits my workflow super well, so obviously these are gonna end up in a bag. Sweet layout here. I love the pliers options that they give you. There's a couple of things that I really love about this set. Starting off with the needle nose. These are a fantastic set of needle nose. I'll talk about this grip here at the very beginning. It's incredibly ergonomic. I love the way that it feels in my hand. This specific set of pliers does come not extremely loose, but they're definitely super usable. This isn't something that you're gonna have to like soak the day before you use it and like loosen it up. You can actually open them and close them with your hand. It's not catching at all. So that's awesome. That's something that we look for. The blue is a softer rubber and the red has a little bit more of a hard texture to it, but it gives you a lot to grab onto. I don't feel like my hands are gonna slip. And I love the way these feel in my hand. Now, needle nose, the one thing that I really like about them is how long they are, and they do seem adequately skinny at the tip towards the end, which is something obviously that's important, especially for a tool that you typically use to reach into tight spaces, different stuff like that. So that's awesome. You guys can see there is a portion here with teeth right before the cutters for grabbing nuts and different stuff like that that are round, and then there are the cutters themselves, which are the pinch style of jaw. Great set of needle nose, very usable. Now next up we have their diagonal cutters, and these aren't just their regular diagonal cutters. These are actually the XLT. They're the 8-inch code blue XLT diagonal cutters, which is cool. They feel fantastic. They are very large. Obviously they're still only 8 inches, but they feel great. They cut well, like extremely well. This feels great. This feels like just about any other high-end quality plier that you could pick up on the market. And this set here, I do believe it goes for about $250. So we'll look at all the details of that at the end. But when it comes to diagonal cutters, these do cut just as well as any other diagonal cutter that I use. It's a soft cut through. It's not a loud like snap, which is good. That's what you want. I mean, it's butter, okay? That's all there is to it. And one of the ways that you can always check to your diagonal cutters or any of your cutting pliers is to hold them up to the light and see if any light bleeds through. That will just tell you whether or not there's any gaps. So that way, obviously that's gonna make cutting harder. And when you hold these up to the light, you can't see any light coming through. It's sealed as it should be because they've engineered these to do. There is no light leakage through these. They are obviously machined very well. Third plier on the list, these are the end cutting pliers, and I actually don't have a good set of these, so I'm really happy that these came in this set. But they're basically just pinchers at the end. You pinch and you cut things from the end, nails, different stuff like that. It's really good for prying as well because you can get a lot of leverage on there. This is the 8-inch pair. And this is one that typically they just put dipped handles on. So I'm glad that they actually have comfort grip handles in there. And it matches the rest of the plier set. Seems like a dumb thing, but I like that. I like all my handles to match, especially if they're gonna be cool blue and red, something that stands out and is different. I want them to all be the same. It just helps. It's better that way. And like I said, these handles are extremely ergonomic. And all of these do come with laser heat treated cutting edges or teeth. So obviously it's gonna be the cutting edges for these end cutting pliers. But when you get into a pinch, sometimes pliers like this can be a absolute game changer. So it's nice to have something like that. And we're on to one of my favorite sets of this pliers, and I'll explain to you guys why. Now this is a 9.5-inch pair of loppers. These cable loppers here, they call them cable cutters, but they're loppers. I like them for a couple reasons. Number one, you can see that these don't curl that hard, which means that you don't have to open them as wide to get them around larger wire. These aren't like the last 3 sets of pliers. Instead of coming to a point, they actually go past one another like scissors, which is really great, especially for wire. But what these will allow you to do is they'll allow you to put in some larger wire. And while it's too big for you to just chomp down on, you can rotate your pliers. You can basically trim away at the wire until it's actually thin enough that you can chomp through it. But these are excellent for cutting large wire. Now, obviously they come with the code blue handles, heat treated cutting edges so they'll last. But the thing I think that makes these a little bit different and honestly better than a lot of the other pairs that I see of loppers is how wide you have to open it to get it open. It doesn't curl, it doesn't have a large hook over, which I think leads it to be a lot more user friendly, especially for the wires that we typically tend to cut. Most of the time we don't have to have it out here, and if we do, don't use pliers if you're cutting 500s, please. And of course everybody knows that Channellocks last for forever. Their pliers last for forever. The treatment that they put on them is excellent. The materials that they use are excellent. Channellocks last for forever. Not only their actual, what they're known for in their Channellock style of plier, but also in all of their pliers. And of course, what they're known for, Channellock, you guys, this is the first pair, and it's the 9.5-inch pair with the code blue handles. You guys know these pliers. This is what Channellock is made of. It's what they're made for. They make some of the best tongue and groove pliers that are available. Okay, now I like the handles on these a lot. Again, I don't like dipped handles at all. So getting away from dipped handles for me is always a bonus. I don't like the texture. I prefer more of a grip, something more ergonomic than that. This is it right here. Now you guys know what these are for. It's for basically anything and everything that you want to turn. All right, you get a lot of leverage. 9.5 is a perfect set. I always have a 10-inch pair or a 9.5-inch pair of Channellocks available because that's what is the best. It's big enough that you can turn anything with it, but not so big that it's like cumbersome and hard to carry with you. A 9.5-inch pair or the 10-inch pair are going to be everything that you need. And like I said, everybody calls them Channellocks. This style of plier in general is just called Channellocks because of how great Channellocks are and have been for so long. Next up, we have a 9.5-inch pair of crimpers with the code blue handles on them. And this is a great set of crimpers. It's obviously, you got a ton of leverage. Crimping is an important part of electrical work. It's something that happens pretty frequently. It does come with a insulated and a non-insulated crimper, and there's a cutter on the end here. You guys can see that little pinch edge there, which is perfect for just being able to cut off little wires, little snips, stuff like that. But they're super high leverage too, so it's gonna make crimping easy. It's gonna do everything that you need it to do. And this beast right here, this is the 9.5-inch pair of Linemans from Channellock, you guys. And this is a little bit of a different set. There's so much room from on the actual plier itself. It gets thin very quickly. But honestly, I mean, we don't use the plier part up there anyway. It just typically gets in the way. They're also 9.5 inches, so there is actually a lot more leverage than what you typically see from other pliers. And if you look, the actual cutting jaw is so far away from the end of the pliers. You can get a lot of leverage on there. We'll go ahead and cut some of this 14-2. I mean, it's everything you're gonna ever need. They are a little bit thinner going this way, so if you're a big wire twister, that's something to think about, but they're plenty wide enough. And when I say they're a little bit thinner than what we're normally typically used to in lineman pliers, just ever so slightly, but they cut well. There is a fish tape puller on the inside here in between the handles, which is nice. Don't lose your teeth, because we all know how those work. They're not the most reliable ever. It's super easy to slip off of a fish tape, but they're always there when you need it. When you need to get some extra leverage on a fish tape or something that's stuck, they're there. And last but not least, the 10-inch pair of tongue and groove pliers, the Channellocks. You guys know them, you guys love them. They're Channellocks. They are the tongue and groove plier. They're the, Channellock style of plier. And the only thing that this is missing to be a true electrician's plier kit would be a pair of their wire strippers. And you guys, if you haven't seen these wire strippers already, these Channellock wire strippers are sweet. They're the perfect smaller pair of wire strippers. They're very precise. They have a very thin head on them, which is great. The cutters are shears as well, and they cut extremely well. They strip extremely well. The handle is ergonomic. It feels great. It's the whole handle's blue, so it's the softer rubber. And honestly, they just feel amazing in my hands. I feel myself reaching for these wire strippers a ton. If you haven't checked these wire strippers out, you need to, because they're an excellent set of wire strippers. And I'll actually tag a video to these at the end to cover all the details. But overall, you're looking at $31.25 per plier, $31.25 per plier in this, because it's a $250 set for 8 sets. All of these pliers are things that you're going to need to get. Definitely an absolutely great set. Obviously, even on the less expensive side, for some very, very quality pliers, very quality tools, things that are going to last you for forever. In my opinion, This set of 8 pliers from Channellock is worth the money. And not only are they amazing, but they're also made in the USA. That's pretty hard to do nowadays, especially for a lot of tool companies, manufacturing companies. A lot of that stuff happens overseas, but not this. They're made here, which is phenomenal. Great sets of pliers. They'll last you for forever. If you're looking for a fantastic set of pliers, they are a fantastic set. And if you want to see more about these wire strippers here, head up to this video. Remember, it's all for His glory, and I'll see you guys on the next one.